Hey everybody, I'm Amanda with DevExpress and welcome to the final webinar in our 14.2 launch week. We saved the best for last. What's new in CodeRush, presented by Chief Scientist of the IDE team, Mark Miller. In this webinar, learn about the newest features shipping inside CodeRush, including IntelliRush, our improved Intellisense presenter, and enhancements to the Debug Visualizer. Think you for joining us. I will now hand things over to Mark Miller.
Thanks, Amanda, so much. I appreciate it. And I know Julian, I think, is out there as well. Julian, are you? I think I asked you a question at the beginning. I don't think I got that answer. Are you going to kind of walk with me through this and participate, or are you going to be like the silent observer, kind of like the NSA out there, just watching?
The NSA. I am watching you, Mark.
All right.
Miller.
So we're going to jump right in here. I have slides. I normally don't have slides. I don't do that. I just normally go in, but we'll do this to kind of allude to some sense of organization in the presentation. These are the major investments that we've put into CodeRush 14.2. IntelliRush, I'll show that first. The Debug Visualizer, this is a great feature. If you haven't seen this yet, I'll give you a little bit of an introduction to that, and I'll show you some of the new features in the Debug Visualizer, and automatic updates. And automatic updates is something I won't show, but it is it's the ability, if you do install from the Visual Studio Gallery, to get automatic updates and have CodeRush update itself over time. We've also made other improvements. I'll show you some of these. We've improved resource navigation in our decompiler. We've improved jump to declaration for partial classes. We also have some new refactorings for matching namespaces to the folder structure that the file is in, and also moving the file around to put it into a folder structure that matches the namespace. We also have new code issue suppression options and new targeting options for optimized using. So that's what we've got, and with that, I'm going to jump right in, and we'll start by showing you the newest feature, which is CodeRush's Intellisense. I've got a window here, by the way, which is just for the demo, which will show you what keys I press. So as I move up and down through the code, you can see there are my up arrows right there. And if I hit down arrow a bunch of times in a row, you'll see it says times 14 right there. So you can see how many times I've hit it. So you can see the keys I hit as I move through, and that's just to show you so you get a sense of what's happening as I go through the code here. I've got a three-dimensional array right up here, and the feature I'm going to show is called IntelliRush, and it's our enhancement to Visual Studio's Intellisense. So you're still getting essentially the underlying background engine, and we are enhancing that engine to really help you when it comes time to find what you need. So for example, I've got this array 3D variable here. I'm going to type in the dot, and now if I were just to continue typing, like for example get, for example, it would filter it out just like the normal Intellisense would. You can see some highlighting going on there, but in general, the behavior is exactly the same. And if I were to hit enter right here on get value, it would just enter it just like it normally would, like we would normally expect. And then let's say I hit the open paren and the close, that sort of thing. If I put the parens in there, then it gives me the parameter tooltip. Now this is so far no different from how Intellisense already works, and the reason I wanted to show you that is I wanted to show you that if you just get into this without seeing what it does or learning anything else about it, it'll still work exactly like Intellisense already behaves. Okay. Now, if I wanted, in this case, I've got a three-dimensional array, so I kind of need to hit the down arrow a couple times until I get to the right overload. There it is, right there. So this allows me to specify 3 indexes into the three-dimensional array. So you can see the keystrokes that I pressed to get here. That's what's up on here, and you can see what's going on there. I hit the down arrow like 6 times, and that sort of thing. So let's do this one more time. And now let's exploit some of the features of IntelliRush. So I'm going to hit the dot right here, and now let's say I want to. I've got a lot of things. Let's say I'm moving up to the top. I got a lot of things on the screen here. Let's say I want to see only the methods. So I can just hit the Control key. And it brings up these options, this hint right here. Now I can just hit the letter M to see only the methods. And so you've got this ability to filter out by symbol kind, the kind of symbol you're interested in. So you might be interested in events, you might want to see enums, you might want to see namespaces, that sort of thing. So we can filter out by that. The other thing that's interesting, you probably noticed this already, but get value here Notice it has 7 overloads right over here. This is still the same hint that you get normally with Intellisense, but look at this. There's a little triangle right there. If I hit enter, as we already saw, it just accepts it. But if I hit the right arrow key, it opens it up, and now we can see all of the overloads. And we can jump right down to the one that we want right there. We can verify that's the one we want, and we can hit enter. And now if we do that, what CodeRush will do, IntelliRush will do, is it will now give me the parens that I need around that method call. It will give me the it'll give me default parameters to put in there, and around each of those default parameters, those arguments, it's giving me an orange box, which is a text field, which allows me to just type in what I want, like for example maybe 1 there, and then hit enter, and then go to the next field, 2, enter, and then maybe 0 for that index. And I can now specify my indexes very, very quickly, right? I can fill all of that out very quickly. So what you're getting, just again to show you this, filtering by type, I can go into the overloads, and I can see all the overloads listed, find the one that I'm interested in very, very quickly, that sort of thing, and then hit enter. And once I hit enter on it, it will then give me those fields for those pieces. I can fill out the variables, what I want there, hit enter, go to the next spot, and that's how I can do it. By the way, if I just hit enter twice and I come back in, I can come in and use CodeRush to just declare that as a variable of the correct type, right? So CodeRush can come in there and declare that. There you see it wants to declare it as an int. So I can also use it as a fast way to declare the local variables I need for a particular method call. Okay, so let me show you a little bit more down here. I've got a variable called tuples, and we can also come in here and we can say we're looking for extension methods. We can just look for only extension methods by hitting the letter X. So there's only the extension methods, and I can come down in here, find something that's interesting to me. For example, select many, that sort of thing, and I can fill the whole piece out right there as well. Let's go into just if I'm just typing here normally, like say I type in sys, this is what you normally see. You see everything. Again, you just tap the control key to bring up that hint, and now I can choose what I want to look at. Maybe I want to look at only namespaces, and I can see there's system and then dot. Again, and I see a bunch of stuff there, but if I only want to see namespaces, I can control and then hit N, and now I'm seeing only the namespaces inside of here. And once I'm here, I can start typing in what I want, like security, for example, hit enter, dot, and then again, I can, if I'm still looking for namespaces, I can still find my way in and very quickly get to what I want, right? Far fewer keystrokes, right? And the ability to filter out, get the piece I want. If I want an event, right, I can also just hit control space to bring it up. I can just hit control, hit E for event, and now I can see all of the events that are in here. So it gives us very fast filtering to get you what you want. No more of this. Now, by the way, if I want to see everything, I can hit A for all. No more of this, right? You're looking for events. Now you're scrolling down. This is the old way of doing it, right? Looking for that icon that's an event icon. It's taking forever, right? If you've ever done this, right, trying to find an event of a name that you didn't know, you now have a much faster way to find it. And so that's what's cool about IntelliRush. Okay? All right. Let's switch over next to, I'm going to show some new
Before
features.
you move.
Oh, yep, go ahead.
Before you move over, Mark, quick question on IntelliRush. How do you actually enable or disable it?
Sure, you can go into the CodeRush options. Well, actually, there's a faster way. If you've got a normal install, you're going to have an icon up here that looks something like this. And if the green dot is on, it's enabled. And if you click it, it'll disable it. So now if I come in here and I say tuples dot whatever, now you're seeing just regular IntelliSense coming in here. And I hit the dot there, right? Notice the big difference is there's nothing off to the right under the bottom that says tap control for options. That's how you know it's not enabled. If I come in here and I enable it, and I come back and I do the same typing, you see now tap control for options. There are other things that are going on here as well. One of the other things is we have this thing, we have a resizable list. So if you have a large monitor, you can actually see way more than what you normally see with IntelliSense. Here's IntelliSense. Look at the size comparison here. That's what IntelliSense gives you, right? It's a much smaller window. The other thing it does is it's as wide as it needed for everything in the list. But if we come back over here, we re-enable IntelliRush, what you'll see is we've done some optimization here so that let's make this a little smaller so you can see we'll make it as small as theirs was. And let's do this. As we move up and down, let's see if I may not be able to demonstrate with this because we've already got started with something pretty big with a long method. All right, let's do this one more time. I think I can demo it here. Oops. Wait. Let me make it smaller. Well, whatever. I see what's going on. So the problem is there are no methods that are really long. But what would happen, what I was trying to demo is if I created a method that was really long for this, then what would happen is as it got into view, this would get wider. Sorry, that was so painful to demonstrate that I didn't have it ready at the time. Sorry about that. But that's all I was doing, is that there's optimization with regards to the width as well. So you can make it as long as you want, and it changes its width as needed.
Cool.
Okay.
Thanks very much. Yeah.
Sure, you're welcome. So that's how you enable it. You can also, and since we asked about those options, you can also go into CodeRush options, and if you go into, hold on, this popped up on another monitor. Here we go. IntelliRush is right in here. So it's inside editor, and then just inside the editor, it's got its own page. And so here's the big enable button right here. You can choose whether you want, for your arguments, whether you want the orange text fields from CodeRush, or you want to use Visual Studios, or you don't want to have any at all. You can change the color for the match text that you're typing in. You can also select specific languages to disable it in if you want to, if that's interesting to you. So those are some of the options that are right there that you have for Intellisense or to IntelliRush. Okay, so that's very, very cool. We think it's going to help people go work much faster, and so we're excited about it. Also, I should also add, well, I guess two things I should add. One is you can also use this, right? If you ever use Intellisense to bring up your Visual Studio code snippets, you can hit V for that to filter all those and see just only the code snippets that come with Visual Studio. So I almost can anticipate the next question from existing CodeRush users, which is, what about listing all of the CodeRush templates in there? And yes, the answer is we intend to enhance it. The difference is that Visual Studio ships like I don't know, about 20 templates, 30 templates maybe, and CodeRush ships over 200,000 combinations of template kind of combos that you can put together and string together to create your code. And so we can't obviously just give you a list of 200,000 items. So it's going to take some brain power to get that in a form that to present in a presentation that is easy to parse and digest and gets you the essence of what you need and are looking for. But it is our intention to put effort in there and fix that and add that feature. And we also there are other advanced filtering things features as well that are that we're working on right now, actually. So there are additional filtering, smart filtering abilities that we're adding to this. We think this is a great feature. We think developers are going to like this a lot, and so we're continuing to invest in this. Just like with the Debug Visualizer, once it was out, we saw there was a lot of enthusiasm behind it, and we continue to invest in that. And so, speaking of the Debug Visualizer, let's take a look at some of the new features there. And I'm going to just run this. Let's see, do I have my breakpoint set up here? It looks like I want to have a breakpoint. Oh no, I think I got my breakpoint already. It's looking at a method I was confused by. Okay, here we go. So one of the features that was in beta before, and we've now bumped it up to a full-fledged real feature. You'll see it here as I step through the code. So here's I step through. You can see we're making an assignment. We're creating a new latitude. There's the preview. So we've got the expression preview here that's showing us what the value is of that latitude as we move down here. Then we're making a call in to get season. And watch what happens after we make a call to get season. I'm about to enter a switch block right here. Notice right now what it looks like, and watch what happens when I hit F10 after we figure out what season's going to be. What happens is the Debug Visualizer tells you what block of code you're going to go into, and it de-emphasizes the blocks of code that are not going to be on the current execution path. So we call this dead path de-emphasis. And so we're showing you you're not going into these blocks of code right here, but instead you're going into this one. It's there's a little bit of this is kind of a science of great UI trick that we're doing here. It helps get your eyes in on the piece of code that you're going to move in before you actually get there, right? So it directs your attention there. And it also helps if you thought, for example, it was spring and you were going to go in here, and now you find out you're not, and you haven't even executed this line of code yet. We're here. We haven't even executed this yet. It's telling you where you're going, which can be helpful. It can save you anywhere from like 20 seconds to maybe a couple minutes of debugging time if you find out in advance you're about to go into a surprising location. So this feature is now shipping and is enabled for everybody who's using the Debug Visualizer. Okay, so I'm going to switch over now into actually I want to run because I think I have one other thing to show in here as I recall. Not here. Oh yeah, I did. But I lost my breakpoint again. It looks like. Let me just get it. Oh no, wait, it's there. Hold on. Oh, and I'm actually at the breakpoint. Sorry, my apologies for my confusion. All right, so here we have a catch block, and we have no exception variable declared for it. What's really cool about this is the Debug Visualizer is figuring out what the exception is and displaying it for you right underneath the catch block. So next time you're debugging and you run into this, and you're like, okay, what's the exception variable? You can just immediately look right there and see it. So I wanted to show you that. That's also new. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and close that. We're going to now switch over to Visual Basic, and we're still looking at the Debug Visualizer. Oh, you know what I wanted to do though? Because I saw we had about 20 people, and I didn't really talk about. So for the, I'm sorry, not 20 people, but 20%. There were some folks out there that didn't really see the Debug Visualizer, or that had maybe never seen this before. So let me just quickly give you an overview of what this is. As I step through the code, it shows me values right on top of the code of, like, for example, what the return result is going to be, even though I haven't executed this line of code yet, what the variables are being passed in, the parameters being passed in, and if I'm curious on an expression that's complex, I can even drill into it and understand what's going on. So, for example, here I see I'm taking the square root of 25. Here I see that I get 25 by adding 9 plus 16 together. And as I highlight each piece down here, you can see what's being highlighted up above. Right? And you can see that. And as I move through and select the pieces that are here, the pieces of the expression, the corresponding code is selected at the top or is highlighted for me so I can see what piece corresponds to what. So this is using some cutting edge signs of great UI ideas here in order to make this all work and to make this smooth and effective. We are one of the things I really like about this is if I start to collapse this, if I were to like go up here and collapse this by hitting the space bar, you may or may not have noticed that there was a change in the distance between this method down here and the one above it. Here, I'll do it again. I'll start drilling down. There I hit the down arrow. I'll hit down arrow one more time and watch what happens. There, it just moves it a little bit. And then moves it a little bit again, as needed. It's only as needed, right? So if we get rid of this, and if we don't need to move it, in other words, if there's white space there already, like there is in this case, I have a line return right here, a carriage return here and here. If there is space, we just use it. We're very aware of where open white space is on screen, and we use it in a very intelligent manner. So you only see the code kind of shift like that. The code only shifts when necessary. And of course, there are options, Julian, for turning that animation off if you want to do that, and deciding controlling exactly when under what conditions you'll see these previews. But the feature is very, very good. This is a cutting edge feature. This is a feature that you're going to probably see 5 years in the future showing up in other IDEs and maybe even inside Visual Studio natively. Okay, so I wanted to show you that. Let's now move on.
Hey, Mark.
Yeah.
Amanda first.
I was going to say there's a couple questions
Sure.
that were popping up while you were doing that about what was going on along the right-hand side.
Over here? I wasn't even paying.
No.
Oh, wait, hold on a second. Let me run it again.
The bird's eye view of the code is one of the questions is that Visual Studio or is that CodeRush?
This is the Visual Studio Power Tools. It is not CodeRush. It's a feature that I have installed here. There are parts that are CodeRush. For example, we have duplicate code detection is coming on down here. We have our code issues that are showing up here in this bar right here. So these things are here, so it shows you what issues are going on. But this piece is part of Power Tools. I have Power Tools installed. I like to install a lot of popular add-ons just to make sure that CodeRush is working well with all of those add-ons that other people might be using as well inside of Visual Studio.
Wonderful. Brilliant.
Okay. Actually, I should say this is one of the cool things about the map over here is that off to the left of the map, you see all of these bars that are showing up here, these rectangles. These rectangles are actually coming from both Visual Studio and CodeRush. This gives you an idea of how well the engine behind Visual Studio is and the great design they have behind here. It actually allows things that we do normally, which is just like put warnings and errors that are in the code for particular code issues and code smells. They allow those to pop up and appear right on top of their code map as well. So it's nice, right? It actually is a combination of information from both Visual Studio and CodeRush, but this is a Visual Studio Power Tools feature. Okay. Was there another question?
Yeah. You showed this for IntelliRush for C#. My God, I don't know where my mind has gone. My brain has gone all quiet. Does it still work for VB?
Yes, it works anywhere you'll see Intellisense. It works anywhere that Intellisense shows up in every language. So like I say, it's an enhancement. It's what we've done is we've kind of taken the basic engine, so you're not going to see any performance slowdown, anything along those lines, and we've just wrapped it in a little more of an intelligent layer, a layer that's a little more optimized for exploration. When I say layer, I mean a presentation layer, right? A UI layer is essentially what we're doing. And like I say, we intend to continue to invest in it. We think this is definitely moving in a good direction, and so that's where we're going to continue to put effort here. Okay.
Brilliant, brilliant. So over to VB then.
Okay, let's switch over to VB. And over here in VB, I'm just going to hit run here. We're still talking about IntelliSense, this time in VB. Now VB has the ability to set up catch blocks with filters, with filtering code right here. For example, you see I've got a call to logger.log, and I'm passing in my exception variable right here to it. So I'm going to hit F10 on this, and there's an exception, and we're here and we're caught. And you can see that the debug visualizer is telling us what the exception is, and over here we've got a refresh button. And if I click on this to refresh it, because there's side effects in it, I can now drill down into it. So you can see logger.log is true. I can now drill down and I can see the individual pieces of what I'm sending into it. One of the things that you notice down here in the watch window is if I have this exact same expression that we're drilling into with the debug visualizer and I refresh on it, what happens is I get an error message that this variable is not declared. It may be inaccessible due to its protection level. This is actually a bug that's in a number of versions of Visual Studio. It's been fixed, I think, in the latest patch update. Unfortunately, I don't know for sure if that's true or if it's fixed in the Roslyn updates. We just know that we see this on most of our machines, and some of our machines that have all the updates plus the Roslyn installed don't have this bug. The cool thing about it is that this bug does not impact the debug visualizer. In fact, this is not the only case where the debug visualizer is actually better behaved than the Visual Studio watch window. There are, for example, if you're debugging JavaScript and you have JavaScript function calls that have side effects, and you put one of those function calls down in the watch window, that side effect is going to get executed, I believe, I'm pretty sure this is true, every time you hit F10 as you're stepping through that code, because it's re-executing that function call, and that side effect is occurring and making changes. However, that is not the case with the debug visualizer. So that's like another example. So we're like I say, we're investing a lot in the debug visualizer in terms of making this like a very, very high-level feature, the kind of feature you would expect coming from Microsoft, shipping from Microsoft, that sort of thing. It's slightly unconventional in the sense that instead of making you move your eyes looking down to a window or finding the tab and clicking on it and looking up and down, we put the information right next to where your eyes are already likely to be. So it's slightly unconventional, but we found a way to do it, and I think the wins here are big in terms of efficiency as you're stepping through the code and debugging. Let's go ahead and run. I've got one more breakpoint in here. I just wanted to show you this too, the same feature we saw before, dead path de-emphasis. In VB, case select statements are evaluated in a slightly different way, and you'll see it here as we step through the code. So when I hit F10, we get to the first one and we see, okay, well, we're not going in there. We go to the next one, we're not going in there. We go to the next one, we say, oh yes, we are going into that. We can see, and you can see we have de-emphasis occurring in the other areas. So you can see that you're not moving into those other places there. All right. Let's go back over into here, and I just wanted to show you a couple more small features, and we'll wrap up. We'll wrap this up. One is in the decompiler, and if you haven't seen it, it's in. I should have done that in slow motion. It's in CodeRush Tool Windows Decompiler. By the way, I have a bunch of stuff that is not shipping. Some of this is things that are in development, so don't get too upset if you don't see those in your install. All right, and so let's go inside here. We'll go into resources, and we'll grab the resource. And I just wanted to show you this, is that for when you see the list of resources there, you can actually click on them to see them in more detail. For example, I can click on the images there. I'm just hitting back to back, the backspace key to go back between these, and I can just drill in to the different images or the elements inside by just clicking on them. So that's one of the new features. The other thing I wanted to show you is notice are the refactorings for dealing with namespaces. So notice my directory structure. I've just created a Windows form application is all I did. That's how I started. Well, let's say I want to start creating files and putting them in other places. Well, normally what I'd do is I'd go create that directory structure. Maybe I'd create the file. I'd click and drag it over into the folder. I'd be doing a lot of mouse work. A lot of extra steps. I'll show you how easy it is to do now with CodeRush. In fact, I'm thinking about, let's do this at an added level of complexity is what I'm thinking about this. And I know everybody freaks out when I kind of do that. But let's go ahead and say we're going to create something new, and we're going to create, like, for example, a new automobile view, for example, like that. Doesn't exist yet, so I've just written that. I'm going to use CodeRush. I'm just hitting the CodeRush key. So for the new folks who are here, I've bound the CodeRush key to num0, so you'll see that up here. The default for the CodeRush key, by the way, is Control backtick, which is that right there. That's the default. When you hit that, we just look to see what we can fix, what we can do, what we can refactor, and we show that to you. So I'm going to choose declare local, like that. Then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say declare class, an automobile view. Right, I'm hitting very few keystrokes. It's now put it in its own file. Let's come up here and do this. .views. So I'm just changing the namespace to .views right there is what I'm doing. And now let's go over in, let's just be right here and we'll hit the CodeRush key and let's move the file to the matching folder. And watch what happens over in the Solution Explorer. It gives me the views folder and it puts it there for me automatically. If I want to come inside of here and let's say I want to say, maybe call these my super views instead. I can just do that, hit the CodeRush key, and now say rename. I can either rename the namespace to match the folder structure, or I can move the file again. And now watch what happens if I move the file again. There you go. It's created super views out there for me now and moved it to there. So it's very, very fast, right? The steps to normally do this are much slower or take a lot more time, many more steps involved, a lot longer if I have to do this whole thing by hand. If I were to come in here as well, if I were to come in and make a change here, let's say, let's just rename this back into views, like that. I should be able to come right up in here and say, let's rename the namespace to match the folder structure. And there you can see the preview hint shows you what you're going to do. So, so with that, Julian, I'm going to say that's I'm going to wrap it up. That's essentially it. I'm going to open myself up for any other questions that people have.
Okay. Let me kick off then. Let me see. Greg says, you're aware that it's not near as fast in renaming when using TFS, right?
Wait, what did he say?
You're aware that what you just showed, basically, creating the folder or creating the files
right,
to match the namespace, you're aware that it is not near as fast in renaming when you're using TFS.
I am not aware of that, actually, and I think it sounds like the person is reporting a problem with rename either in Visual Studio or in CodeRush. And if that's the case, if it's a performance issue, we definitely want to see that. We want to learn more about that and understand that. So,
Right. I'm guessing it's to do with a source repository, so things have to happen behind the scenes because you're
right.
removing a folder, you're removing a file, or you're changing names and so on and so forth.
Okay,
So,
well, if that's the case, then yeah, then yes, we may be dealing with those kinds of issues. So, yeah,
right.
I guess it may be safe to say that your mileage may vary with regards to performance, I suppose. But if it is in fact a CodeRush problem or a problem that you think we can fix, definitely tell us about it. That's something we want to know. Right, going faster is our goal. Okay.
All right, hang on just a minute. Just okay. Bradley asks, IntelliRush expanded window, does it stick as regards size between uses and over VS executions?
Yes, I'm pretty sure. I know it does between uses, and the only thing I'm not sure about is between VS executions, but I'm pretty sure it does. Yeah, the answer, it looks like it does.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, that's been my experience. I haven't really done a test, but I know that I've pulled this way down, and I have and it's been in that position when I've come back in on another use. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it's remembering all of that.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Mike has a request for you for IntelliRush to separate local members from inherited members.
Yeah, I totally got it, and that's one of the features we're working on. We could not squeeze it in to this, but we have a really nice solution that I think is going to blow your mind. You're going to love it, and it's in the fewest keystrokes possible. You're gonna just be like, got it. It works really well. You're gonna love it. So yes, we're working on it, and I'm not sure if it's going to come out in a minor release or it's going to come out in 15.1, but it's not ready yet. It's like I say, in development.
Kleis asks whether you could make a list of add-ons that might be handy together with CodeRush, which provide extra features that CodeRush does not yet provide. Sounds like a blog post to me, but do you have a list of add-ons that you use regularly? You were talking about this Visual Studio kind of map thing.
I definitely do the power tools, and I just kind of go with the default install options there, primarily because it's a very popular add-on. There are some conflicts between the power tools and CodeRush. And so you might need to change some settings in one or the other, but yeah, I would definitely recommend looking at it. I originally got Power Tools. I think one of the things I really liked about Power Tools was this map right here. I really liked. This was a feature that I spec'd out years ago for our devs to do, but we never prioritized it. We never made it. They ended up building it, and they solved some of the performance problems that we were worried about on really large files. So, whenever this happens, I'm like, good job, guys, good job, Visual Studio team. Wish we could have been the first, but no, it's great that you did that. But it's interesting though. I find that I don't use it as much as I thought I would. I thought I was going to use it to visually recognize where I was.
Right.
But there are code and to get back. But there are CodeRush features that already do that. Like I can drop a marker here, go somewhere else, and then just hit escape to pick that marker up, get right back, without even moving my eyes away from the code off to the right. So I find that I don't actually use it as much as I thought I was going to, but I have it installed, like I say, because it's so popular. In terms of a list of other things, there's nothing else that I have installed, with the exception of like some GitHub tools, I think, and I think actually that's it. I don't think there's anything else. From time to time, I have installed other things, to just make sure that verify that we don't have conflicts. But then those things have become uninstalled.
Oh, I see. Okay.
All right.
Actually, a couple of people have mentioned that this map on the side might actually be now a feature in Visual Studio. You can, apparently, right-click on the scroll bar, choose options, and then show annotations over vertical scroll bar or something like that. So,
yeah, let me see. Scroll bar options. Let's see what we got here. There you go.
So yeah, map mode. There we go. And there's, if you look down behavior, there's map mode for vertical scroll bar. I don't know what that actually does. Yeah,
I've not made these changes, so I'm not sure. So, so interesting. Yeah. So this would not surprise me. I wasn't aware of that, but this is something that. So Visual Studio, their Power Tools is actually built by members of the Visual Studio team. It's a way to try out new features. the same thing happens in CodeRush world, where we have the community plugin site where we have features that we kind of work on, or the community will put out there, and then what happens is the popular ones kind of end up finding their way into CodeRush or into Visual Studio, or eventually into Visual Studio, right? So they find their way in because a lot of people are saying this functionality is really good. So yeah. Anything else? Any other questions?
Oops, sorry about that. Something went wrong. But it's back again. Right. Let me have a quick look through, see what we've got. So Kleis asks, the code issue on the right-hand side at the scroll bar, if you have one specific issue but which occurs several times, is it possible just to get a fix all similar issues?
Yeah, I don't think we have that right now. I think we might have it for some problems.
Right.
Like for example, if you have, if we have this .names showing up everywhere, like we had that,
right?
Like a bunch of, something like that, like a bunch of those showing up. There might be a way to fix all of those at once. Go. Let's see. Well, yeah, kind of. It's remove redundant qualifier all. So right. There are some refactorings that are just built in that are built to solve multiple problems at once. And if those exist, you can be on any one of the problem points and choose the one that has the word all in parens, like that, like you're seeing here. And then that will fix them all throughout the entire file. Or sometimes, I don't think they do I think it's only within the entire file. I don't think there's anything that goes through the whole solution.
Right, right.
So, yeah.
Quick question from Eddie. I think I'm pronouncing it wrongly, but I apologize, Eddie. How do you drop a marker? Quick one. Bam.
Okay, Alt-Home is what you do, like that. And to pick it up, I just hit Escape. And those markers are only last as long as the session lasts. So I can, a better file to demonstrate them in is over here in the drill down test. What's cool about the markers is, like if you look at this code down here and you kind of want to memorize that code, if I drop a marker here, I just hit Alt-Home there, and then I'm going to hit Control-K to set a Visual Studio bookmark there, just to compare the bookmarks versus the markers. If I go up and I hit Control-KN, which is the Visual Studio key to get to it, it shows me this code. It's actually on the same line of code I was on before, but it doesn't look the same. It takes a while to adjust because the line of code I was interested in was off on the side of the screen near the bottom, and Visual Studio just scrolled it up for me. But if I go back to the top again and I hit Escape to get to there, we instantly recognize it, right? The recognition portion of our brain, the portion of our brain that's good at recognizing things, instantly says, I've seen this before, right? And you're ready to get working. Also, notice it selected the word jump just like I had it selected when I dropped the marker. Again, the comparison, Control-KN, moves everything up here, puts the caret off to the side right over here. If I hit Escape and to jump to it, it just gives me that. It gets me right to that spot, restores the view as I was seeing it when I dropped the marker. So yeah, markers are a feature that's been in CodeRush forever, and I almost, it's almost like breathing to me. I don't talk about them. It's something it's very useful. But yeah, that is a feature that's in CodeRush. Sounds like maybe I need to do an intro to CodeRush webinar again.
Yes, I think it's time. Well, after 14.2 has been released, then you can, do the intro.
I need a bit of a break.
Visualizers and IntelliRush and everything. Yeah.
I've been going crazy, and I'm like, I'm not kidding you. I need such a break so badly. I'm like, oh my god. Yeah, I'm like, this is like my last major thing for 14.2, I think, and I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm like, I'm breathing. After this is done, I'm going to breathe.
Jimmy asks, does IntelliRush work with dependencies imported through CSproj target imports? I'm not quite sure what that means.
I'm going to have to get back to you on that. I don't know. I'm not sure what the answer is to that. I think I'm just going to write down in CSproj targets. I don't know is the answer. I have a feeling yes, it does. In fact, let's kind of work it this way. If Visual Studio's Intellisense works that way, then we do as well.
Oh, okay.
That's what I would start with my initial answer being that. However, I do want to look at this because this is something that I'm not as familiar with, and I know I've heard some of the devs talking about this, but I want to get you
Gotcha.
an accurate, good answer. So, by the way, if you want to send me an email, my email address, I'll just write it up on screen here. Actually, I think it's on my slides here.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, God.
Oh, what? Come on.
You think that I would do that? You think I would, like,
the NSA knows your email address. So
you think I'd be smart enough to, oh, wait, look, Julian, I had it all along. Look at that.
Good.
So there's my email address, markm@devexpress.com. I'll put it in the chat window, too, so you can just copy it there. Let me see if I can find that chat window. There it is right there. markm@dev. Oh, yes. Somebody already got it in, it looks like, for me. Thank you so much.
Right.
So, yeah, there's my email address, and send me an email on that question. I will get back to you on that, find out the answer for sure, and if we have any follow-up questions on it, we'll ask you to as well.
Right.
So, okay?
Okay, final one. David Retberg asks, Visual Studio 2010 gave us camel case matching for IntelliSense, but installing CodeRush hides or disables this matching mode.
Yeah. Okay. I don't think so, but what I would like to do is maybe give us some steps to reproduce. I'll show you right here that it is working as expected. So I do the dot right here, and I type in, for example, SD, like that. It grabs single or default, and shows you that, filters that out.
Right. Right.
Okay. So it may be that you're not doing uppercase. And so that may be it. Like if I just type in SD like this, then it doesn't filter these things away like we would expect them to. So it may be that you're not doing uppercase. If you're in fact, if you're doing what I'm doing and you are not seeing what I'm seeing, then I would call that a bug, and let's get it to support at devexpress.com, and we will and we'll have some devs investigate and figure out what's going on. But yes, you should totally have that, and there's nothing in 2010, nothing in any version of CodeRush that should ever disable that.
All right. Well, that's it. We have. I don't think we have anything else.
Coming up. Yeah,
No,
I heard.
okay.
I heard Amanda say we're saving best for last.
Okay, let's jump over to Amanda. Hello, Amanda.
Okay.
Hello, guys. I did just post your Get Started with CodeRush webinar from a year ago, Mark. I posted the link to everyone, so.
You're so awesome, Amanda. Thank you.
I know. Thank you so much.
That's what I would have done had I had another brain and another set of fingers. I would have totally done that.
All right, everybody. Upcoming webinars in December. Next Tuesday, December 9th, DevExpress.ASP.NET, connecting your site to the cloud. And December 16th, responsive web design with DevExpress. Those are what is coming up in December. And you can register for them and all upcoming DevExpress webinars, plus access past webinar recordings. All of our launch 14.2 webinars are up at devexpress.com/webinars. And that is it for this one. Thank you so much to Mark. Thank you for joining us. And of course, thank you for choosing DevExpress. Bye-bye.